Acharya Sotera Srimad in Divine Loving Grace. Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki. Mandara Srimad Bhagavatam ki. Itagora Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Sri Guru, Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna, everybody. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Creation of the Fourth Order, Chapter 30, Activities of the Prachetas, text number 28. Where I start, I'll just chant Mangala Chana. Om Anatamarandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chaksharanmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeyam Shri Guru Shri Yuta Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadhuetam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostite Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavani Ishvari Vishubhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Namaste Girirajaya Shri Govardhana Namane Ashesha Klesha Nashaya Paramananda Daine Vancha Kalpatarobhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mare Kabando Matsangin Madguru Manmadana Madnistaraka Madbhagya Madananda Namostate Asadu Sadhu Tadayanati Nicho Chatakara Anamuncha Karachinmam Premnorit Katayospara Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskata Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devyam Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Madhirayat Nasta Preshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. So, text number 28. Etavat Tvam Hi Vibhubir Bhavyam Dineshu Vatsalai Yad Anusmaryate Kale Swabudya Bhadrarandana Etavat Tvam Hi Vibhubir Bhavyam Dineshu Vatsalai Yad Anusmaryate Kale Swabudya Bhadrarandana Etavat Tvam Hi Vibhubir Bhavyam Dineshu Vatsalai Yad Anusmaryate Kale Swabudya Bhadrarandana Etavat Tvam Hi Vibhubir Bhavyam Dineshu Vatsalai Yaran Yusmaryate Kale Swabudya Bhadrarandhana. Etavattvami vibhuvir. Bhavyam dineshu vatsalai. Yadanusmaryate kale. Swabudya Bhadrarandhana. Etavattvami vibhuvir. Bhavyam dineshu vatsalai. Yadanusmaryate kale. Swabudya Bhadrarandhana. Etavattvami vibhuvir. Bhavyam dineshu vatsalai. Yadanusmaryate kale. Swabudya Bhadrarandhana. Etavattvami vibhuvir. Bhavyam dineshu vatsalai. Yadanusmaryate kale. Swabudya Bhadrarandhana. Word for word. Etavat. Thus. Tvam. Your leadership. He. Certainly. Vibhubihi. By expansions. Bhavyam. To be conceived. Dineshu. Unto the humble devotees. Vatsalai. Compassionate. Yat. Which. Anusmaryate. Is always remembered. Kale. In due course of time. Swabudya. By one's devotional service. Abhadrarandhana. O killer of all inauspiciousness. Translation. Dear Lord, you are the killer of all inauspicious things. You are compassionate upon your poor devotees. Through the expansion of your Archa Vigraha, you should certainly think of us as your eternal servants. Please repeat. Dear Lord, you are the killer of all inauspicious things. You are compassionate upon your poor devotees. Through the expansion of your Archa Vigraha, you should certainly think of us as your eternal servants. Excuse me one second. Purport. The form of the Lord, known as Archa Vigraha, is an expansion of his unlimited potencies. When the Lord is gradually satisfied with the service of a devotee, in due course of time he accepts the devotee as one of his many unalloyed servants. By nature, the Lord is very compassionate. Therefore, the service of a neophyte devotee is accepted by the Lord. As confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 9:26, Patram pushpam palam toyam yome bhaktya prayachati tadaham bhaktya pritam ashnami prayatat manaha. If one offers me with love and devotion a leaf, a flower, fruit, or water, I will accept it. The devotee offers edibles in the form of vegetables, fruits, leaves, and water to the Archa Vigraha. The Lord, being Bhakti Vatsala, compassionate upon his devotees, accepts these offerings. Atheists may think that the devotees are engaged in idol worship, but the fact is different. Janardhan, the Supreme Lord, accepts bhava, the attitude of service. The neophyte devotees engaged in the worship of the Lord may not understand the value of such worship, but the Supreme Lord, being Bhaktavatsala, accepts his devotee in due course of time and takes him home. In this connection, there is a story about a Brahmana who was offering sweet rice to the Lord within his mind. The Brahmana had no money, nor any means of worshiping the deity. But within his mind, he arranged everything nicely. He had gold pots to bring water from the sacred rivers to wash the deity. And he offered the deity very sumptuous food, including sweet rice. Once, before he offered the sweet rice, he thought that it was too hot. And he thought, oh, let me test it. My, it is very hot. When he put his finger in the sweet rice to test it, the finger was burned and his meditation broken. Although he was offering food to the Lord within his mind, the Lord accepted it nonetheless. Consequently, the Lord in Vaikuntha immediately sent a chariot to bring the Brahmana back home, back to Godhead. Thus, it is the duty of every sincere devotee to accept the Archa Vigraha at home or in the temple and worship the form of the Lord as advised and authorized in scriptures and directed by the spiritual master. Srila Prabhupada ki. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamini Namne Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Prachadane Nirvashesha Shanyavadi Pastachare Shtare Namaste Jivanandaya Dasaya Vanachanine Prabhupada Balabhaya Snyasi Vavanurane Agyana Bhantagramana Pashtita Paditatman Gurudaya Chitari Shishad Hari Om Tat Sat. So here we're speaking of the Lord's compassion and the Lord being Bhakta Vatsala, meaning he is very compassionate upon his devotees. He's very much in love with the devotees. He's wanting to bestow compassion upon them. And this is a rather inconceivable element of the Lord's qualities. It's described in the teachings of the personified Vedas that all the Lord's various qualities and all of the Lord's various attributes, the most inconceivable and difficult to understand is that the Lord is all merciful. His mercy is actually so much that we cannot understand it in truth. So the Lord's compassion is unlimited. And Prabhupada is bringing out this point, even though it's not explicitly mentioned in the verse. Prabhupada is bringing out the point of this Archa Vigraha, the deities, and how important the deities are. So, of course, Krishna says, Paritranaya Sadhanam Vinashaya Tradushtikam Dharma Samstapanartaya Sambhavami Yuge Yuge. Krishna is explaining that he appears for three reasons. He appears to annihilate the miscreants and to protect the sadhus. Paritranaya Sadhanam Vinashaya Tradushkritam. To annihilate the miscreants, protect the sadhus, as well as to reestablish the principles of religion. Dharma Samstapanartaya. So generally when we think of Krishna appearing and we think of this verse, we think of Krishna's incarnations such as Lord Ramachandra, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Lord Nrsingadev. We think of it like this. But actually all the forms of the Lord, including the holy name, including the Shakti Besha avatars, and including the deities, are falling under this category. They are coming to deliver the sadhus, annihilate the miscreants, and to reestablish religion. And of course, more importantly and most importantly, the Lord appears to please his devotees. Prabhupada explains, Paritranaya Sadhanam, protecting the sadhus can be done without the Lord's personal appearance. The Lord can kill all the demons with a lightning bolt if he liked. So the Lord doesn't have to appear to kill the demons or to protect the sadhus. This can be done by the Lord's energies, or by an empowered devotee, or by an empowered personality. So the real reason the Lord appears is simply to engage in loving times with his devotees. Lord Nrsingadev did not have to appear out of the pillar to protect Prahlad Maharaj. He could have protected Prahlad Maharaj without appearing. Hiranyakashipu could have just, been killed in some other inconceivable way without the Lord's personal appearance. However, the Lord is appearing simply to please Prahlad Maharaj and to give bhava to Prahlad Maharaj, as well as to give us this understanding that the Lord has deep and intense love for his devotees. All of the Lord's pastimes are always with the devotees. Try to find a pastime of Krishna that doesn't have the devotee involved. There's none, because Krishna and his devotees are inseparable in the bond of love. And therefore, Srimad Bhagavatam means the beautiful activities of the Lord and his devotees. So all the pastimes of the Lord and his devotees fall under this characteristic of this bhav that they have, this love that is between the Lord and his devotees. And that the Lord is showing compassion upon the fallen conditioned souls, because in reality, every soul is, of course, a servant of Krishna. Nityasiddha Krishna Prem. Every living entity has Krishna Prem within the heart. So therefore, every living entity in their constitutional position is a devotee of Krishna. So this Archa Vigraha is non-different from Krishna. Of course, it is Krishna himself. And Krishna is appearing for the same reason. Once again, even in our beautiful Tucson, Arizona, Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda, Lord Nrsingadev, and Sri Sri Radha Madhava, Sitaram Lakshman, Hanuman, they've appeared to give mercy and to give bhava to the devotees, out of the devotees' love. Just like we had a beautiful festival on Sunday, Lord Jagannath appeared in Tucson to give mercy to the people of Tucson dressed as skeletons, and then to give pleasure to the devotees. He came to give mercy to all the souls in the All Souls procession. It's really beautiful how the Lord is appearing once again to deliver the miscreant, deliver the sadhus and the miscreants, so to speak, and to give pleasure to the Vaishnavas. Once again, how much pleasure did we have for the Rath Yatra? I was feeling that, I love this service of, making the calls and trying to make these arrangements for the Rath Yatra, because it's nice to serve the deities. It's nice to see Lord Jagannath. But the real pleasure in this service for me is to see how happy this Rath Yatra makes the devotees. Really makes the devotees so happy. Our Damayanti, she was so much ecstasy. She could hardly walk. She was simply holding onto the rope to try to stay up. She was going hard. She was really in ecstasy. So it was such a nice thing to see.
You didn't see the last part. We missed the way, and I cannot watch anymore.
Good. Lord Jagannath is happy.
So. She made it all the way to
the end. Yeah.
No, see, when they were returning home, they lost the way and they went to the wrong direction, and now they cannot walk anymore. Is it?
I had to hold her hand all the way back to the car.
Well, I'm glad that she engaged in the beautiful chanting, and she was dancing, and she was just ecstatic. So it was a very beautiful festival. So Srila Prabhupada explains that our Bhakti Yoga movement, our Hare Krishna movement, runs on 2 tracks. One track is the Bhagavat Marg, the path of hearing and chanting, Srimad Bhagavatam, the Lord's pastimes, the Lord's holy names, and the path of Narada Pancharatra, the path of deity worship, a Pancharatriki Marg. And so both paths are necessary, although of the 2, the more important path is the Bhagavat Marg, as described by Srila Prabhupada. The Bhagavat Marg is very important because this process of hearing and chanting will purify the soul completely and is sufficient in itself to bring one back to Godhead, as we hear in the first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. What need is there of any other scripture? Second verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. What need is there of any other scripture? As soon as one hears this Bhagavatam, then the Lord is established in their heart. Right? This culture of knowledge is described. So, however, the Pancharatriki Marg is also important to give us the preliminary purification to perform the Bhagavat Marg. And a side note is that sometimes people get very confused about initiation and Guru Tattva and these types of circumstances. It should be noted that the Diksha initiation, the Diksha ceremony, which we go through, where we take a name, we take beads, and we get a mantra, the Gayatri mantra. This initiation is for the Pancharatriki Marg. Your Diksha Guru is your Pancharatriki initiation Guru. He's initiating you technically into the process of deity worship. However, there's this added element of the chanting of the holy name, which is, in a sense, Bhagavat Marg, but it's actually a prerequisite to the process of deity worship, because most of us are fallen in the Kali Yuga. We're all Sudras, essentially. So there's that very famous verse, Yanamadeya Shravana Nukirtanad Yat Pravanad Yat Smaranad Api Kvachit Chadopi Sadya Savadaya Kalpate Kutus Panaste Bhagavan Nudarshanat. The Lord is saying, Devahuti is saying to Kapila Dev, what to speak of those who see you. Even if one hears about you, chants about you, such a person becomes qualified immediately to perform Vedic sacrifices. So this verse is essentially powering we can take Malecha, we can take a fallen Sudra, and we can make them a Brahmana. They become qualified to perform Vedic sacrifice. So the initiation, the Diksha initiation is for the Pancharatriki Marg, and then the Bhagavat Marg is who you hear from, the guru who you hear from. And you don't see that, there was no fire yajna and bead ceremony for Maharaj Parikshit. Chaitanya, when he was traveling through South India and he was telling people to chant Hare Krishna, they were being initiated, but there was no formal ceremony because this Bhagavat Marg is simply hearing and chanting. The principle of guru must be there though. Tadvidi pranipatena. One must inquire submissively and render service. In all cases, this is necessary. So Prabhupada really, he emphasized deity worship a lot. Prabhupada didn't have any doubts about deity worship, nor did he minimize it in any way. He spoke about it as being very important, especially for the neophyte devotees, because deity worship gives us regulation, gives us a way to purify ourselves, and it can lead to all perfection. It's very, very wonderful. And even in my own Krishna consciousness, once I started deity worship, it helped me so much. And then once my own deities came to me, Giriraj, Sri Gaurnitai, it also deepened my Krishna consciousness as well as helped my chanting very much. So there's one story I'd like to tell, a very nice, famous story, the story of Shabari from the Ramayana. So Shabari was a tribal woman. She was a Nishada, so called Nishada. She was a tribal woman, and she was the daughter of a hunter. It was a very low birth. Hunters, very low position. A lot of people in my family hunt. I'm also coming from a hunter family. Not my dad or mom didn't, but a lot of other people in my family hunt. One member of my family has a whole room. It's just dedicated to dead animals, bears, all kinds of things. Like the type of person to like go to Africa and kill things. It's kind of crazy. So she was a tribal woman. She was in the Nishada, and she was a hunter's daughter. And so in the course of her life, one day, her father was going to perform a goat sacrifice, a very great sacrifice in which many, many goats and animals were going to be sacrificed to the fire. And so upon seeing this, she became very compassionate. She thought, I can't stand to see this beautiful animal be sacrificed. This is such a horrible thing to see these animals die and be slaughtered. And so she became filled with compassion. And upon being filled with compassion, she decided, I must leave. And I'm going to go find a guru. I'm going to find a spiritual master. This is human life. Right? Once it begins, we're seeking spiritual wisdom. So although she was born in this hunter family, although she was very fallen in terms of caste and creed, background, she had this desire to find a guru, to learn. This is the beginning of spiritual life. So you can take that. Any person who's seeking spiritual wisdom, seeking a teacher, that person is already beyond the level of their birth. They're no longer bound by their birth, caste, and creed. Just like when I first met Gauranga, the first thing he said to me was, I'm looking for a teacher. Gauranga Prema. First thing he said to me in the Krishna Cove 3 or 4 years ago. What? He said, I'm looking for a teacher. This is human life. So she felt compassionate and she left to find a guru. But many gurus rejected her because of her caste and her creed and her situation, her background. So many, many yogis and sadhus she'd go to and they'd say, oh, you're too fallen. You're not qualified to become my disciple. So she continued looking in all sincerity until she came across Mantanga Rishi. And Mantanga Rishi accepted her as a disciple. And because of her sincerity and her devotion and her desire to find God, she served Mantanga Rishi very intensely with great devotion. She did all kinds of services in his ashram, collecting fruits and berries for the deities, cleaning, so many different things. And then most importantly, at the end of Mantanga Muni's life, she served him with great devotion and helping him transition. Or she was serving him during his end of life. And he felt very merciful upon her, and he was very pleased by this service. So we can learn from this that Guru Seva is always the most important thing. This is the transformative element. The transformative element in our lives is the Vaishnavas, is the Guru, both Shiksha and Diksha. So we can always remember that the Guru and the Vaishnavas, this is the magical element that is transforming us. And in pleasing them, Yasya Prasada Bhagavat Prasado, Yasya Prasada Nagati Kuntopi. We cannot get the mercy of the Lord without the mercy of the Bhakta. Or else Nagati Kuntopi, your destination is unknown. But if we do serve the Guru, if we do please the spiritual master, destination known, we get to go back home, back to Godhead. So she served her Guru very nicely. And at the end of the life, he blessed her. He says, I bless you to see Lord Ram. You will see your Lord Ramachandra and his brother Lakshmana. And so Shubari continued very faithful in her service to the Guru. Although all of her godbrothers and the various other members of the ashram, they all left because Mantanga Muni had left and things started to, fall apart as they do. And so Shubari continued to serve very nicely. She continued to serve the deities of Lord Ram every day. And so we understand that this Guru Nishta bestows great mercy upon one. That we see in even our ISKCON, sometimes the devotees very close to Srila Prabhupada, they struggle very hard after Prabhupada's disappearance because we become attached to the Vapu, but we're not understanding the Vani properly. She was very attached to her Guru's order, and she had full faith. Yasya Prasada Bhagavat Prasado. She had full faith, and therefore she was receiving the mercy of the Guru. Famous verse, Yasya Deve Para Bhaktir Yata Devi Tatagaro Tasyarte Katita Hyarta Prakasanta Mahatmanaha. That all of the imports of Vedic knowledge are bestowed upon one who has firm faith in the Guru and the Supreme Lord. So this Guru Nishta is very, very important, and she continued to serve as her Guru instructed her. Her Guru gave her a sadhana. That sadhana was to worship the deity of Lord Ram. So every day she would go out, and out of great bhava and love and devotion, she would pick fruits and berries for the Lord. Of course, famously, she would take each berry and she would taste it. And if that berry was tasty and sweet, she would give that to Lord Ram. And if the berry was sour, unripe, or bitter, she would throw it away. And so she continuously tasted in this way. Although this is completely against the rules of deity worship, because she was in this bhava, she continued to do like this. Of course, Prabhupada brings out this point in the purport that the Lord is bhavagrahi janardana. Means the Lord is accepting the bhava of the devotee, not the technicalities and the rules and these things. And so this is a big challenge in our spiritual lives. We become attached to rules and regulations in a way that is degrading our consciousness. Of course, Rupa Goswami explains this. He says that you can become attached in a way that is degrading your conscience, or you can become detached from rules and regulations. That's also degrading. So you have to understand the principle behind them. Atyahara prayashyascha prajalpa niyamagraha. This niyamagraha means to become too attached to the rules just for the sake of following them, or to be too lax with them and not following them. So this is also demonstrated, right, in the story of Jesus. Jesus, when he was going through Jerusalem, all the Pharisees, they were criticizing him because he healed a man on Sunday. He said, "Oh, you healed someone on the Sabbath." And he was doing so many wonderful acts of love and devotion to God, but they were so attached to the law, the Torah, and therefore they were always criticizing Jesus, and they had him killed for it. And so we see that sometimes. You find a devotee that they're very attached and they're very proud of themselves because they're very intensely doing everything right, as if the Lord is pleased by this. This is kind of a very strange consciousness if you think about it. I played the game right, and you played the game, you made a mistake, and therefore I'm better than you. Kind of a very wrong consciousness. St. Paul says the law will always break you. So we must follow rules and regulations to regulate ourselves, but they're not the end goal. They're not the end goal in themselves. They're meant to bring about a certain state of consciousness, and that consciousness is the goal. And so if you follow the rules and regulations, but you don't develop the consciousness, then it's Shrama Eva Kevalam. So she continued offering these berries to the Lord with great love and devotion. Every day she was offering. For many, many years, and she became very emaciated. She became very old. She was wearing tree bark and leaves. She's very skinny and not so healthy. But she continued to do so. And after some time, when Lord Ram was in search of Sita, Lord Ramachandra and his brother Lakshman, they appeared. And she opened her eyes and she saw, this is my Lord. And it's described that she was able to understand this to be her Lord because of the mercy of her spiritual master. So she came across her Lord. And actually, Lord Ramachandra, seeing her devotion and her dedication to the service of the Lord, he bowed down to her. Lord Lakshman and Ram paid obeisances to her. So they spoke for some time, and then the Lord asked for a tour, and so she took him around the ashram. And then she took some of these fruits in her bhava that she was offering the Lord, and she, as she had done for many years, she would taste them and then she would offer them. And so Lakshman, he tried to stop her and he said, don't eat that, Ram. She's already tasted it. This is, low behavior. And then, Ram, of course, he stopped her and he said, no. He said, these are the tastiest fruits I've ever had. And the Lord Ram, he greatly relished these fruits. He relished them. These fruits are the sweetest fruits I've ever had. Nothing can compare to this. Because he was tasting the love that she was putting into that act of tasting the fruit, not for her own sense gratification, but for the Lord's sense gratification. Yeah. So this was for the Lord's sense gratification, not for her sense gratification. And so Lord Ramachandra, being so pleased for her, he blessed her that now you will return to your guru and to your God family. And so she entered the fire and she went back home to Godhead. So what we can understand from this story is that Krishna is accepting the love of the devotee. And the Archa Vigraha has appeared for us to offer in that way. So of course we're not Shubhari, we're not on that level of bhava. We have to follow rules and regulations. We shouldn't be too caught up into it. We should also remember that it is about love, it is about devotion, it's about changing our character. Because of course we understand that the Kanishta Adhikari, he sees the Lord in the deity, but he doesn't see the Lord in the devotees. He doesn't treat the devotees with kindness and love, although he's very, very attached to following rules and regulations. And so when a devotee can't get along with anybody, but it's very attached to rules and regulations, you can understand that they're not so advanced. One of my teachers in Mayapur, he said, when a devotee knows how to deal with other devotees, you can understand immediately that he's come to the level of Madhyamadikari. Because he knows how to deal with people. And this is a result of real knowledge. It means that I'm respecting those I see around me as souls. Like that word respect, I've been thinking a lot about it lately. What does it actually mean? It means to respect. Spect means to look. So to re-look. So we see someone, generally we judge them by their body. You see someone, you say, oh, this person is female, this person is male, this person is dirty, this person is clean, this person's black, white, this person's a devotee, this person's a non-devotee. We see them in that way. But to respect means to look again and to realize actually this person is a soul. This person is very beautiful. This person is a soul, part and parcel of Krishna. And then to treat them on that level. So I've been thinking to myself, we can understand where a person's at. We can think to ourselves, I understand that this person is this way, and that I feel this way about this person, but I choose to honor, serve, and love this person as part and parcel of Krishna. So there's so many different moments where we can find ourselves in that. We're dealing with a very dirty person, a very, sick person, old person, or person we don't understand, a very beautiful person, bewildered by someone's beauty. I understand these elements of this person, but I choose to serve, honor, and love this person as a part and parcel of Krishna. So this is the result of deity worship. There's one verse in the 7th canto where it says that deity worship was introduced to help people get along. This is the reason deity worship exists. So sometimes we find that the pujari room is the most, not in our temple, but I've heard from other places where the pujari room is like the most, it's like the most hectic and fiery place in the whole temple. So it's not meant for that. So the Lord Ram accepted this bhava, he accepted this love. And so we're meant to develop love for Krishna. So the deity worship serves two purposes. In the beginning phase, it's serving to regulate our lives and to help us chant the holy name. And in the later phase, it's serving as a form of raga bhakti, where such a person is like Shubhari, offering spontaneous, loving service to the Lord. There's another example of this, another story of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, where the very famous devotee Damayanti in Chaitanya Lila, she would cook the Lord various preparations. And these preparations, she was living in Bengal, and she was cooking these preparations in Bengal, and she would send them with the devotees who would go to Rath Yatra. And she would send all these various foodstuffs for Lord Chaitanya. And they were very rich, nice foods. One of the things she would send was medicines, various foods that were help with digestive aids and these sort of things. Things that you wouldn't generally eat as something that tastes good. But she would put them in there thinking, I don't want the Lord to become sick from all the rich food. But she would put these various digestive aids in the packing to send to the Lord from Bengal to Jagannath Puri. But when these foods were received by the Lord would eat the digestive aids, nasty things, all these various types of sours and, bitter things that were for digestion. The Lord would eat them, and he would cry in ecstasy because he was tasting the love and the thought that she put in that, she doesn't want me to get sick. So she's in this Vatsalya rasa. She's thinking, I don't want the Lord to become sick, so I'm going to put something for his digestion. And so he would eat those, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would eat those out of great reverence and great love, rather than the very rich, nice foods. So the Lord is accepting the love, of course, very famous story of Vidarani. She was, of course, serving the Lord a banana peel instead of a banana, and he ate that with great relish. So there's unlimited examples of Krishna tasting the love of his devotees. And so it's very important that we don't let our deity worship become ritualistic. And that's why these two tracks depend on each other in the beginning. We chant Hare Krishna and we hear about the Lord, and this is helping us develop love for Krishna, attachment to his pastimes, and we're hearing how the devotees are serving and acting and pleasing the Lord. And then we go on the altar, we do our deity worship. We're trying to do this as an offering for the Lord's pleasure. It's not a ritualistic ceremony. And we shouldn't think that just because I do it mechanically that it's pleasing Krishna. So Krishna is accepting that love, that bhav that is within the offerings. And I was just reflecting. I had a lot of reflection seeing the various devotees this weekend serve Lord Jagannath, and seeing all the different devotees engaging in service. And of course, Ratnabhushana Prabhu, so amazing, incredible devotee. He's the definition of Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam, because he's built these carts are amazing. There's so much that goes into them. There's so much. Gauranga Prabhu was helping me, of course. We're helping set them up, and the amount of engineering that goes into these carts. It's incredible. The amount of work that goes into these carts. And then these Prabhus are both, Ratnabhushana is 68 and the other Prabhu, Rupa, is 78. And, they're doing work, such hard work all day long, setting up these carts. And it's just, you can tell they're in ecstasy for the bhav of serving Lord Jagannath. And so we have that, and it was very inspiring. And then the devotees are cooking prasadam. We have over 2,000 plus cookies were made to serve Divya Mataji and Nukunja Mataji and various other members of the community came together to make cookies and to distribute that prasadam. It's also very inspiring seeing the work going into that and the arranging and so many things that devotees are doing just to please the devotees and to please the Lord. And Jamuna, I was very moved by your offering that no one even thought to do that, but you made so many nice sweets, cakes and cinnamon rolls. And then you made that broom for the Lord. It was so beautiful, such a beautiful example of Krishna Bhakti. And simply for the pleasure of the Lord. Did you even try anything, any of the prasadam that you made?
No, I got a sandwich.
So there's so much Krishna Bhakti. And Lord is so pleased by that. And so, deity worship, people can, scoff at it if they like, but the fact is that it is a wonderful and beautiful way to express Krishna Bhakti. And the Lord is pleased by it. The Lord is coming to accept our service and to experience that bhava with us. And the deities will reciprocate with you in incredible ways. There's so many stories of pujaris having experiences with the deities. And, the deities can give you unlimited mercy just like that. Someone was asking me, because I do pujari services, have you had any miraculous stories? And I said, well, every moment's a miracle when you're serving Krishna. It's not that something mystical has to happen. Like I tell this devotee, I said, what Giriraj, my Govardhan Chila, what he does to my consciousness is a miracle every day. And that's the miracle. It says, Ashesha Klesha Dashaya Paramananda Dayane, that he's destroying unlimited miseries and bestowing the highest bliss. That's a miracle. And that's a genuinely available experience to anybody who worships the Lord, worships Giriraj we have on the altar. So there is so much mercy to be had. Once there was a class of students that came here, and one little girl decided she was going to stand up for her Lord and Savior and tell me that I was a demon for worshiping idols. And so I calmly, I didn't, become angry. I just said, what do you want from your religion? She was kind of quiet. I said, what do you want from your religion? Well, I was kind of quiet, so I said, I'm assuming you want salvation, correct? And she shakes her head. I said, yeah, so, we don't really care about that. We want to serve God. Have you ever thought of serving God? And I said, I wasn't being mean, but I was being very serious, trying to instill this lesson that we want to serve God. And this is a way in which we can develop a service attitude to God. And Gaurasundar nicely said, our Gaurasundar Prabhu nicely said, he said, he chimed in and he said, do you have a picture of your mother, grandmother in your house? And she said, yeah. This is why do you have a picture of your mother or your grandmother in your house? Because you love them. So although it's different in sense because pictures of, conditioned souls aren't them themselves, pictures of the spiritual master and pictures of God are. But the principle is that we have a picture or we have a form of the Lord because he's a person we love. And everybody has pictures of their family in their house, especially devotees less, but especially, generally karmis have one wall of, family pictures, a whole wall. That's the common, my mom does. My mom's like a devotee. My grandma does. Practically every house I go to, they have a whole picture of their family. Devotees have usually a giant picture of Krishna, Radha Krishna, Jagannath, Srila Prabhupada. It's different. But you put a picture of someone you love up. And so we have our deities. It's more than a picture, it's a form. And this is a meditation on which we can develop love for Krishna, service to Krishna. And Krishna accepts that. And Krishna reciprocates. And there's so many stories of that. Just this morning, the last Thursday I was dressing Gaur Nitai, and somehow I got them backwards. And I thought, and Lolita came in and she saw this with her own eyes. She saw me, oh, they're backwards. So I put them back.
So you better switch them down. I feel like you're going to play a trick on me.
Took off their dhotis, put on their dhotis to make them fit. And then when I put them on the altar, their dhotis had switched again. I swear. I swear. She saw me switch them. She saw me take off the dhotis and put them on. And when I went back on the altar, the dhotis had switched. So the dhotis were in instead of out. And I don't know how. I still don't know how it happened. So they were in a playful mood that day. All these things happen to reciprocate, love with the devotees, and to give us the opportunity to have a very personal relationship with the Lord, which is a deeper and higher level than the impersonal, or even a very neophyte devotee can't experience the bhava of the Bhagavatam Marg right away. Chanting holy name take purification. We say, of course, yes, chanting the holy name is the ultimate. It is. But there are prerequisites for chanting, in a sense. Anybody can chant and they'll get purified, but there's 10 offenses to the holy name. There's various things to overcome in the process of chanting and hearing. So deity worship is a way in which we can really do that. And deity worship will improve your japa. It'll improve your ability to absorb yourself in kirtan. It'll give you regulation. And Haridas Thakur was chanting hundreds of rounds, 100 plus rounds a day. Well, we can't do that. Most devotees, struggle just to get up in the morning, or to speak of chanting. So when you do deity worship, it regulates you. Cleanliness. It's very difficult to focus if you're in an unclean state or an unclean place. You have a clean place. Like I keep my room very neat all the time because it's Giriraj's room. And so then it's made it very much easy for me to chant my rounds in my room. And so rather than having to come into the temple, which I like to chant in the temple too, but there's a lot of distractions. You got, Gaur Shakti's running around doing his thing, and the devotees are coming, other devotees chanting. And it's difficult, but now that my room is such a spiritual space that I can chant in there, sitting in one place in the dark, just fully absorbed. And so it's deeply increased my japa and my absorption in japa. So we see how the deity worship, it serves so many purposes. And on the ultimate level, some people say, well, we don't need it at an advanced level. But you find that advanced devotees worship deities. Not because they need this deity worship, they need this regulation, but simply out of love, out of bhava. They worship deities because it's a beautiful way to offer love to Krishna. So we'll stop here. Thank you very much. Kirtan Yagya has a comment or question.
Thank you so much for your very nice, beautiful, practical, inspirational talk. When you were talking about Lord Nrsimhadev, he doesn't have to come to protect Prahlad Maharaj just for loving exchange. So I heard that devotees and Lord, they always work for each other. They have a vested interest that they always glorify one another. And sometimes Krishna puts his devotees in knowingly in difficult situation. So to inspire the whole coming generation that how devotion is more important, and at any situation, God protect them. So Prahlad Maharaj went through so many, such a difficult situation. Because of that, we are still getting inspired from his story and becoming devotees.
I want the Lord to protect you from that mosquito that's trying to bite you.
Yeah, I was trying.
Oh, it's a fly. Okay, it's a fly. That's okay. Yeah, Krishna is always arranging these circumstances to glorify the devotees and to create reciprocation. So everything in our lives is an opportunity for that. We can either take shelter of Maya or we can take shelter of Krishna. We always have that opportunity. We can take shelter of something that is not, or we can take shelter of the Lord. And when we take shelter of the Lord reciprocates, that becomes a lila. So we're getting the opportunity to participate in the Lord's activities. Like I said on Sunday, my comment in I was said Lord Balaram Prabhu's class was that, Lord Jagannath, it's not that we arranged this Rath Yatra. He arranged the Rath Yatra. And Lord Jagannath decided to come to Tucson. And he, left El Paso and decided to come to Tucson and came to simply give us darshan and give us the happiness and the pleasure of serving him. And so all the different things the devotees go through in the service of the Lord, we had some challenges. These are all Krishna's way of arranging and helping us to reciprocate with him. Yeah, Lalita Priya.
So every time we talk about deity worship in Bhagavatam class, it usually generates a lot of discussion, I think, because we all have, well, not all of us, but a lot of us have such, such a nice experience of deity worship. But I found it interesting, you said that something like deity worship was partially to like help the devotees get along.
Not partially, it is the reason that it exists. It's right in the Bhagavatam. The sages introduced deity worship. Keshava Maharaj brought this verse up. That the sages introduced deity worship because they saw that people were no longer treating each other with respect.
Well, I just made me think about, like when Karmi people get together, they open their wallet or their phone now and they show pictures of their grandkids to each other, say, oh, look at little Johnny's in Little League, or oh, look at my granddaughter, she's a lawyer now, whatever it is. And devotees do the same thing, but like with their deities, like, oh, look at Giriraj today. And I just find that really sweet.
The deity is, we should see every person in the temple or who comes to the temple as a servant of the deity. And if you see someone as a servant of Krishna, you can't, it's hard to become angry at them, envious at them, and inimical toward them. Especially, it's like if you're going to offend or talk bad about someone who's a pujari, like how could you expect the deities to be merciful to you? It's very, very, should be aware of this. This is their location. So therefore we should have, full respect. And I've been thinking lately, whenever you see a devotee doing very well, doing better than you, making progress, you should think this is good for me. And I've been realizing more and more that the more devotees around you are doing good, even though they're much better than you, it's so good for you. Whereas if you feel like you're a good devotee, then it's actually really bad for you. When you feel like, oh, this devotee is doing very well, you're going to get their association now. And believe it or not, it's a fact that even if you don't talk, but someone's in Maya over here and you don't really have any interaction, it still affects you. That energy is being generated. And you see that in any place you go. If someone's here in Maya, it's going to affect your consciousness even on a subtle level. But if you are all focused on serving Krishna, it'll increase your devotion. That's why I appreciate this. Acharya Ratna Prabhu is coming in a few days. And in his temple in Kolkata, everybody's so focused and absorbed in Krishna consciousness, and the whole atmosphere is Vaikuntha. We're out of time, unless anybody has last minute anything. Thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavatam ki. Srila Prabhupada ki. Yeah.